Hey, good afternoon, everybody. My name's Damian Senior, and what you're seeing here is my lockdown creation, a game called Heroes of the Shire. We did a Kickstarter that ended in December 2021, and our game is quite close to being fulfilled now. It's just several months away, so big shout out to all our backers. Thank you very much for turning this game into a reality. We've got a sample of our solo mode set up here on Tabletop Simulator. Without further ado, I'm just going to jump straight into it. We'll talk about the setup. I know there's a lot on the screen right now, so we'll talk about the setup in another video because that could easily sort of talk for 20 to 30 minutes, letting you know what all these components are. But once we've played for 20 or so minutes, most of our gamers out there will know how the game runs. So our solo mode is very much the same as our one versus many or cooperative scenario mode. Just the enemy monsters and the enemy spells are controlled by the AI deck. Okay, so what we have here, I pre-selected my character. That would be the first thing that we would do, and I've selected the Witch Doctor hero. During the setup, I've taken my Witch Doctor spell mastery. I've also taken the Witch Doctor reference sheet, and I've taken any component cards I need for the Witch Doctor. I've got a little card down here that we might get into a little bit later. Got my dice from the dice bag. We have chosen to venture into the Earth scenario. So in the Earth scenario, I think there's 26 hexes. Right now, we've just got a small sample of 9 here. We would have the bosses at the ready. So we've got our acidic Hydra at the ready. Yeah, I think we're pretty much good to go. I'm going to take my cool little Witch Doctor standee, and I'm going to pop him on the Shire hex here, where all our scenarios start out from. But before I do that, I'm going to set up the Wandering Merchant shop. So I take 6 loot items at random. Again, our loot item deck is much bigger than this. I think there's 54 cards. We've just got a small sample here on Tabletop Simulator. So we would take 6 cards. I'm going to place them. I'm quite new to Tabletop Simulator, so you'll have to bear with me if I make any cringy errors. They can go underneath the Wandering Merchant card. We'll have access to this shop should we bump into the Wandering Merchant on our journey. The second thing I'm going to set up is, whilst I'm in the Shire Hex, during the setup, we're going to take 2 quest cards and pick one, discard the other. What have we got here then? So, that's showing the card at the wrong angle. So we've got here, got a description, we've got an objective, a setup, and a reward. I know what these are, so I'm just going to flip this one back down, pop it into the deck. We're going to take this quest card here. Oh, there we go, active quest. That makes sense. And this quest says Elizabeth Darlington is seeking a reliable individual to transport her cherished cat Bliss to a house in Feverdale. She's heading south to meet with Lady Amber of the Cardinal Valley, a region renowned for its valiant heroes. If Elizabeth is successful in forging an alliance with these outsiders, the inhabitants of the Shire will be deeply appreciative to all of those who contributed to the effort. Are you up to the task of escorting Bliss to Feverdale? I believe we are. So we need to escort Bliss to Hex 17 of the water scenario. So I tell you what, actually, let's get rid of this quest because I have pre-set up the Earth scenario here. So let me give this deck a quick shuffle, and I'm going to take another card. Here we go. Aldrich Featherbottom has some valuable items that he would like to trade with the Wandering Merchant. Aldrich isn't as nimble as he once was, and he requires the help of tracking down the Wandering Merchant. Are we up for the task of helping Aldrich Featherbottom? So we need to locate the Wandering Merchant, find in all scenarios, and we'll be rewarded with a shield. So that quest is more suited to my setup here on Tabletop Simulator. Okay, So I've got my quest, and the very last thing is in solo mode we are able to take an ally with us. Now I'm playing a witch doctor, which is a jack of all trades. So I've got a little bit of damage, a little bit of healing, a little bit of support, and that really will point me in the direction. I think I'm going to take. I could do with some damage. Let's take the musketeer. She's high damage. And the musketeer will be added to our ability tab. This is a small condensed version effectively of the real musketeer hero board. So this just makes the multi-handing much easier because this little card only has 2 abilities, instead of playing on a large board like this. Let's go find some d20 dice. Which bag have I popped them in? No, that's all the conditions. I presume they're probably in here for the enemy monsters. Search. Here we go. Let's grab a couple of d20s. Sorry, d10s. What am I talking about? And what's the HP of our musketeer? We've got 38. So there we go. That's one benefit over Tabletop Simulator. We can just press the number to pop the dice on that value, which is quite a nice little feature. And that's it. We are good to go now. I think we've set up the shop. We've got nothing else here. Oh, my apologies. There's one more thing. Because our character starts at level 1 in scenario mode, this little gold frame here is a reminder that when we level up to any of the odd levels, we receive a +1 buff, and we're able to put that on any of our stats. So we've got 3 strength, 6 intellect, 5 agility, 4 defense, and 44 HP. And you'll see those stats highlighted here on our hero board. So let's grab a +1. Oh, we're taking a pile. Oh, what am I doing here? Let's take a pile, pop them in there. I only want 1. And that is a leveling up buff, so it's permanent, and it's going to go in this level section here. And I think I'm going to pop it on defense to give us a little bit more defense. So our defense is now 5. And we also, at level 1, take one of our power cubes, and we're able to unlock one of our new spells or abilities from within our spell mastery. So I'm going to take it, I'm going to pop it here on Curse Study, which states spells with the word curse in their title will deal an additional 1 damage. If I have a look at my hero board, I have Poison Curse here. Oh, sorry, Poison Curse here. And then I also have Curse of Darkness. So these 2 spells will deal an additional 1 damage thanks to our Curse Studies. Okay, all right. I think it's time to venture out of the Shire and into the Earth scenario. So let's see what's in store for us. So we're going to flip this hex over, and we're going to move our little standee onto here. Now, every time we explore a hex, we must take a card from the exploration deck. So let's give this a quick shuffle. We take a card, and we flip this card, and we've got to resolve it. So this says we must summon 2 trash mobs to battle. Now we can't continue exploring the scenario until we have finished resolving the exploration card. So this one tells us we've got to summon 2 trash mobs to battle. Now our trash mob deck is this little deck here. Okay, so let's give that a quick shuffle. We've got to summon 2 mobs, the card stated. So I'll take 1, I'll take 2, and then we flip them to see what monsters we've summoned. We have a elite monster. We have Muckling. He's an Earth Wormling, and I know he's elite because A, he has a name, and B, he is in a gold frame compared to our bronze frame here for the regular monsters, and the fact that these monsters don't have any unique individual names. So combat has been initiated. We've got an Earth Wormling and a Goblin Shaman. Now, what I need to find is in this. There we go. I've got a Goblin and I've got a Wormling. We're now going to set the initiative track, which you might be familiar with in the terminology in other games. We call it a turn order card in Heroes of the Shire. So the turn order in Heroes of the Shire is always based on agility values. So let me take my Witch Doctor, and I chose the Musketeer ally. So we've got a Musketeer. What agility values do we have? Then we've got 6 on the Muckling and 4 on the Shaman. So I believe the Muckling is going to be going first. The Witch Doctor has 5. Oh no, my apologies. The Musketeer has 7 over here. So it's going to be going Musketeer first, followed by the Wormling, followed by the Shaman. Witch Doctor and then Shaman, because we've got a 4, 5. Okay, that was nice and easy to resolve. So it's over to the Musketeer's turn. Oh, I'm jumping the gun. I did forget to grab. No, what am I doing? Search some HP dice for our enemy monsters here. And what have we got? We've got a 0, a 2, a HP stat. Oh, let me lock that card and lock that card. We've got a HP stat here of 20, and the same again. We've got a HP stat of 20 over here. Here we go, 20 and 20. So it goes to the Musketeer's turn, and the Musketeer only has 2 spells to cast. I think we're going to open up with a reload. So I'm going to take one of our cooldown dice, and I'm going to place it on the spell that's called Reload. And Reload has a cooldown value of 3, so I've set the die value to 3 already, and I place it on Reload. And let's have a quick look what it does. Whilst there's a dice on Reload, we gain +2 strength and -1 defense, and we may now cast our range shot spell. So let's go to the conditions. I'm going to search for, is it -1? And I think it said +2. So higher +2s. So I'm going to grab my buffs and take them over to here. What was it? So it's +2 strength and -1 defense. Okay. And it also states we're now able to cast our range shot spell. Now our range shot spell in the bottom right hand corner. Sorry, I forgot to mention that on the reload. Let's lock the card so I don't keep dragging it. There we go. So in the bottom right corner of every spell, there's a cooldown value, and that means once we've cast the spell, the number on the dice value that we must place over the top of it, and we don't get that spell back for 3 more turns. Now our range shot is our cooldown 0 spell, so that's the one that we can keep casting over and over again. So I'm going to cast range shot. It's going to deal 2 damage. It's got a strength attack modifier here. So right now our strength is 5 + 2, it's 7, plus the 2 from the spells, that's 9 damage. Who are we going to target? Let's have a quick look. Our Earth Wormling has a defense of 7, and this Shaman is 6. So let's target the Shaman. What did I say the damage was? 7 and 2, so it's 9 damage. 9 damage, -6 defense. The Shaman will be taking 3, knocking it down to a value of 17. Then it's turn-based combat, Heroes of the Shire. So the Musketeer's finished her 1 spell for turn, and we flip over her token to show that she has passed the turn. Next to the turn order, we have our Earth Wormling. We go over to the Earth Wormling card. Sorry, guys, I should have set up some snap cameras, shouldn't I? Let me quickly do that for the Witch Doctor, so I can keep jumping here a little bit fast. Oh, that's a loaded camera. How do I set a camera? I'm used to Tabletopia. There we go. Control 1. And let me set another camera over here. Control 2. There we go. So it's the Muckling's turn. The AI always casts the highest cooldown value spell first. So Muckling, we know what he's going to be casting. He's going to be casting Unearth. Unearth deals 8 damage plus his strength, so 8 + 8. This is going to be an attack of 16. It's a melee attack from the little sword down here. It's also a leaf elemental type. We know it adds the strength attack modifier, so that's where we get the 16 from. And there's also a roll to potentially add a knockback to the spell. So Let's give that a quick roll now here. So we've got the boss dice. We roll the boss dice, and if we land it on this icon here, this icon here is called knockback. It will also add knockback to the spell. So let's give this a little roll, and we did land knockback. So unearth will also knock back the target. Oh, what have I? There we go. Let's get that out of the way. So who does the Earth Wormling target then? Seeing as this is not one versus many mode, the Earth Wormling is not being controlled by another player. So we only have one stick man here, which means the Unearth can only target one enemy. So it can either target... Oh, sorry, I should be jumping to my camera, shouldn't I? Nope, I've just saved the camera over the top. Please excuse me, we'll get there one day. So it's shift, isn't it? There we go. So it can target either the Witch Doctor or the Musketeer. Now, what we do is we're going to target so it's a little bit like top trumps. So based on highest stat. So right now we can see here that it always excludes HP. So our highest stat here is strength. So the Earth Wormling will target the Musketeer or the Witch Doctor based on who has the highest strength value. So their attack is going to be 16 plus knockback. We've got a strength of 3 and we've got a strength of 7. So that 16 damage is going to be attacking our Musketeer. The Musketeer's defense is only 5. So it's 16 minus 5. That's a total value of 11. 11 from 38. So we'll be going down to 27. And we'll also be getting that knockback condition, because that's what the conditions die added. And you'll see on the conditions die, if I'm to just roll it multiple times, there's two of each icon. So there's only 3 icons on there, and there's 2 of each. I mean, there's a 33% chance anytime there's a roll to add that additional effect to the spell. So I take a knockback, and we're going to place that on the card as well. And we'll resolve that when it comes to the Musketeer's turn. But if you don't know what our knockback condition is, we can show you here. So knockback, let me lock the card again. Looking at here, so during the token upkeep, target player must pay 4 HP to continue into the next phase. If no HP is paid, the turn ends and this condition is removed. Knockback is only removed if the target had a token upkeep. It's effectively going to deal 4 undefendable damage to the Musketeer should she wish to take a turn. So that's Muckling, the Earth Wormling. He's had his turn. So we flip his turn order token over. And the reason why we do this is because in real time, agility values can change. So if I cast a spell to shift the agility values round, we could immediately move the turn order, and something like this might happen. Now, we always know that Muckling has already taken his turn this round. So, what have I done? Somehow snapped to Muckling. I think the AI knew who we were talking about. Yeah, and then we would resolve the Shaman and then the Witch Doctor, and then everybody would have had their turn, and then we'd flip them all over, and then the next round would begin. Okay. So now it's over to the Witch Doctor's turn. Let's just show you guys what happens during a turn then. So we have, that's a nice little feature. I can zoom in a little bit. We have our upkeep summary. So each player goes through the following upkeeps and phases in order during their turn. And the first thing we have is our token upkeep. All our tokens, our temporary tokens, get shifted down the column. Then we have a dice upkeep, then we have a hero upkeep, we have a main phase and an end phase. Now I'll be able to show you some of those on our next turn, because on our first turn we don't have any tokens here to move. Permanent tokens, it's in the name, they're permanent, they don't actually move. We only move the temporary tokens. If they were for 3 turns, 2 turns, or 1 turn, they would all get shifted along a column. We then go into a dice upkeep. Now, because this is our first spell for turn, we haven't actually got any dice on our board apart from my HP dice, so there's nothing to move there. And then every hero goes into what's called a hero's upkeep, where we look at this ability here. Now, the Witch Doctor, it's more of a passive. No, Healing Wave's not, sorry, no, that's just Dark Energy. So we do have an ability here called Healing Wave, and it allows me to target up to 2 separate allies and heal. I can heal one of them for 2 HP and one of them for 1 HP. And what I'm now going to do then is heal the Musketeer for 2, taking her up to 29, and I can't heal myself for 1 because I'm already at maximum HP. Then we move out of the hero upkeep and I come into my main phase where I'm able to cast one of my spells. Now, seeing as I've buffed the damage output of my curse spells, I think it might be wise to cast a curse spell. Our targeting system is relatively simple. You've got single target AoE. AoE in sort of MMO terms stands for area of effect. So that means we can target multiple enemies with these spells, and the allies is green for, again, to target multiple allies, or a single to target one ally, which you might see over here in the damage. So that's about as complex as our targeting system gets. We've also got split spells here. The split spells are kind of 2 spells in one. You resolve the left half of the spell first, followed by the right half. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to cast my Curse of Darkness spell. It's got a cooldown value of 3. So I've prepped my dice. I've popped it over the top here. So I'm going to announce 2 targets. Both my targets are going to be the enemies, and my attack is going to deal 4 damage, plus it's going to grant a darkness condition for 3 turns. There's also an intellect attack modifier here, so it's 4 plus my intellect stat, which is 6. So I'll be announcing a grand total of 10 damage to both enemies. Let's start with the Shaman first. So 10 damage to the Shaman, has a defense of 6. He's going to be losing 4 HP down to 13. And then we also have Muckling over here, the Earthwormling. So it was 10 damage. He's an elite. His defense is 7. So he's only going to be taking 3, knocking him down to 17. We're also going to be placing a darkness condition on them. So if I have a look for a darkness condition, let's just check darkness was for 3 turns. So we place this token on the card. Now, because there's a temporary condition, this is going to get a dice on it, unlike the Musketeers. Now, hers were permanent, so she has no dice on these, and this is actually one of, there's only 2 or 3 permanent conditions in the game, and knockback is one of those. We'll resolve that on the Musketeers next turn, so you'll see that. So I'm looking for some d6. Let's grab a couple here out the bag. My apologies, I forgot to place a cooldown dice on Muckling earlier when he cast his Unearth spell. So the cooldown dice is going to reflect a value of 3, and that's going to go either on top of the condition, or we can just pop it to the side if you'd like to still see what the condition is. And then we have the same over here, value of 3 for that darkness condition. Okay. Witch Doctor goes to end phase, and there's nothing else to do. It passes the turn, and then we now go over to the Goblin Shaman. So the Goblin Shaman has a passive ability here. After an ally has cast a spell, you may assist them by casting a Vexure. This ability can only trigger once per turn. Okay, so that was a little bit of a misplay from me. I should have maybe read this Shaman card when it was summoned. We missed this Assist of Tranquility when Muckling cast Unearth. So let's just go ahead and just rectify that without going too far back in time. But as Muckling would have cast Unearth, because Muckling went first in the turn order, where are we? Down here, we know that both of these guys would be at full HP. So a Vexure would have been cast, and a Vexure would have targeted one enemy. It would have dealt 1 damage, and all allies would have gained 1 HP. That's where I mentioned that because they would have been at full HP, they wouldn't have been able to gain any HP. Again, the highest stat here for the Shaman is Intellect, so it's going to be targeting, that probably is the Witch Doctor, I guess. 6 Intellect versus 2, yeah. So the target this time is going to be the Witch Doctor. And Avexia is going to deal 1 damage plus intellect 8. So it's 9 damage coming into the Witch Doctor. The Witch Doctor's defense is 5. So 9 from 5 is 4. Deducting the Witch Doctor down to 40. Oh, there we go, to 40. And then what I then would have been able to do, because the Witch Doctor went after in the turn order, the Witch Doctor would have been at 40 HP, which means the healing wave ability would have been able to heal him for 1 as well. So if I take him up to 41, and then that rectifies my little misplay earlier of missing this Tranquility ability. And that's because there's 4 Goblin Shaman cards in this deck, but 2 of them have different abilities than this one, than Tranquility here. Okay, so then the Goblin Shaman is going to cast that again, funnily enough, because it's their turn. So it's going to cast a Vexure. There's no cooldown dice to be placed on it. We know the outcome, and the outcome was exactly the same as what it was last time. It's going to be 9 damage, and all allies gain 1 HP. This time they are able to gain their HP. So same again, it was 9 from, it's going to be a deduction of 5, taking us down to 37 HP. That concludes the end of round 1. That concludes everybody has taken their turn, and then we move into round 2. Nobody has changed their agility value, so the turn order is exactly the same as it was last turn. We go on in with the Musketeer's turn. So the Musketeer, oh, what's going on here? I'm sorry, I'm clearly pressing one of these mouse buttons on the side of my mouse, and it's snapping to those cards over there. So I've got to pay 4 HP to remove this or skip my turn. I'm only at 29, so I think I've got enough HP to go down to 25 to take my turn. My dice are all reduced by a value of 1, if you remember rightly. We have the dice upkeep after the token upkeep. And now I'm going to cast Range Shot. Range Shot, 7 plus 2. And it's going to be 9 damage. And let's keep nuking down this Goblin Shaman. So 9 from 6 takes 3, goes down to 11. And that concludes the Musketeer's turn. She passes over to Muckling, the Earth Wormling. Muckling's turn. Muckling's cooldown dice goes down to a value of 1. What I missed earlier, sorry, on the Shaman, was I missed reducing the cooldown dice of Darkness down to 2. Darkness will also come down to 2 on the Wormling as well. Now, the Wormling can't cast Unearth because it has a cooldown dice on it. So we know we're going to be casting Shockwave. Shockwave is an AoE, so it's going to be targeting both. So we don't need to sort of look at this sort of top trumps targeting system here. We're going to be dealing 4 damage plus strength. So we know that's 12. 12 plus can't be healed condition for 2 turns. So I'm going to do 12 damage. 12 from 5 is 7. 7 from 37, nice and easy math. Down to 30. 12 from 5. Oh yeah, we both got 5, so it's going to be another 7. 7 from 25 takes us to, what's that one, 18. And then we also get a can't be healed condition out of the bag. And how many turns did that last for? That was lasting there for 2 turns. So we'll take one of those. So where were we? The Musketeer had just taken her turn, so it was over to Muckling. Oh, that's right. No, we had just resolved the damage from the attack on Muckling. So Muckling will be passing his turn. But before we go over to the Witch Doctor, we don't want to make the same misplay that we made last round. So any time an ally casts a spell, the Goblin Shaman assists by casting Tranquility. Okay, that's what we missed on that first round when the Earth Wormling took their turn. So the Shaman is now going to cast a Vexure. It's 1 damage plus the 8, so that was a total of 9. 9 damage plus all allies gain an extra HP. So the Wormling goes up to 19, Shaman back up to 12. We know it's going to target the Witch Doctor. So it's 9 from 5, taking it down 4. Witch Doctor is at 26 HP. Now that does fully resolve Muckling's turn, and then we're over to the my tabletop simulator says Blood Mage, but over to the Witch Doctor. And in the printed versions, these turn order, the artwork is the entire circle. For some reason, our tabletop simulator is making it a little square, so please just ignore that visual bug for now. Right, okay. So we're over to the Witch Doctor's turn. We have our token upkeep first, followed by the dice, then the hero, then the main phase. So in our token upkeep, all our tokens move down one column. So our can't be healed condition will only be lasting for one more turn, not 2 more turns anymore. We also then go into the dice upkeep. Dice upkeep 3 will be going down to a value of 2, and then no more dice. We'll then move into our hero upkeep. Our hero upkeep, we have this ability here, Healing Wave, but it is being rendered useless by this can't be healed condition. So neither of us can be healed, so this doesn't work. And this is again gaining more HP if an enemy receives damage from darkness. So we won't be using any of these abilities anytime soon. Sorry, my camera still keeps snapping. So I'm going to pick one of my spells to cast. I think I'm going to go in with another AoE. Why not? Let's go in with Acid Cloud. Acid Cloud is 4 damage plus my intellect, which is 6. So again, it's going to be another attack for 10. It's going to poison the enemies, and I'm going to target both of these guys. So 10 damage from Muckling, 10 from 7 is 3, knocking him down to 16. Sorry, not 13, 16. And where's he gone? Somehow I've put him in my hand. I have no idea how I did that. Let's pop him back. Oh, joys of simulators. That was on 2. Okay, so yeah, we've done his HP. The attack was 10 damage from the Shaman as well. 10 from 6 is 4, 4 from 12 is 8. So we're down to 8 on the Shaman. But this attack was also going to poison our enemy. So we take a poison condition. Let's just take one out of the bag. I need 2 actually. Poison is going to be here and poison is here. Now what poison does, if we have a look at the quick reference card, poison at the top there, it says target immediately suffers 1 damage and an additional 1 damage during each of their token upkeeps. They also receive -1 agility for the duration of the poison. So the poison, first thing it's going to do is make them suffer 1 damage. Now, the way we have cards set up is, unlike boards, they can't receive an unlimited amount of tokens. They can only receive 1 condition at a time. So the darkness condition is going to be overridden by the new poison condition. So darkness is going to leave both of these enemies. And this is just during our testing phase. We tested it with multiple conditions, and it just got too fiddly to track with all the different tokens on the cards. So hence why we only have 1 condition at a time. So it's poison condition. We know it was for 3 turns, and it immediately deals 1 damage, taking the Shaman down to 7. And then we same here. It was for 3 turns, the poison, and immediately deducting 1 damage. We have the -1. Now the -1 is semi-permanent whilst the, let's pop it on there, let's on the agility stat, and that's semi-permanent whilst they're poisoned. When the poison goes, so will the -1 on the agility. Now, because agility values have been changed, in real time we adjust the turn order card. Now, the Shaman has 3 agility, which means the Shaman will still stay last, but I believe this alters the Earthwormlings, because the Earthwormling now has 5 agility, which I believe matches the Witch Doctor. So because they both have the same, there'll be a d6 roll. Let's just say we'll go for odds and Muckling can go for evens. So we'll give it a roll, and Muckling wins the dice roll, and Muckling wants to always go first, so we're going to leave the turn order exactly the same as how it is now. That resolves the Witch Doctor's turn because he goes to end phase, and there's nothing to do in our end phase. So we'll flip over our token and pass the turn to the Goblin Shaman. Goblin Shaman has the token upkeep, so the poison goes down to 2 turns, takes an additional damage, down to 6. There's no dice in the dice upkeep, so the Shaman again is going to cast a Vecture. We already know the outcome. We've already cast this a few times, so it's going to be 9 damage, plus they all gain HP, so they're going back up to 7 and 16. And it was 9 damage. It's going to keep targeting the Witch Doctor because he's got significantly higher intellect value than the Musketeer. So it's 9 from 5. We're always taking 4 until stats change. So the Witch Doctor's down to 22. And that concludes the Goblin Shaman's turn. So we flip him over on the turn order track. And that's the end of round 2. Again, we've already resolved the turn order card, so we know that this is the turn order. And then we can go into round 3. And in round 3, we'll go to the Musketeer. I apologies, I did forget to put a cooldown dice on the can't be healed condition earlier. Now it was for 3 turns. We know then on the Musketeer's previous turn it had gone to 2, and now it should be on 1. So the Musketeer can't be healed for 1 more turn. Reload will go down to its last die, and we're going to cast range shot 1 more time. So it's 9 damage. Is that enough to finish off the Shaman? I don't think it is, no. 9 from 6, taking them down 3. 3 from 7, taking the Shaman down to 4 HP. Again, no dice needs to be added to range shot because it's got a cooldown in the right corner of 0. And that will conclude the Musketeer's turn. I'm glad I picked her, actually. She's chipping away, helping me with the damage output. Because right now, whilst I'm only level 1, the Witch Doctor doesn't have a huge amount of damage. So now we're over to Muckling's turn. Muckling's turn, poison goes down to 2. He deducts a health point, down to 15. Unearth, cooldown goes down to 0, which removes it. And now Muckling, or the Earth Wormling, is going to be casting Unearth again. Unearth has that die roll there to see if we add knockback to the spell. So let's give this a little roll. Nope, we've got poison, which doesn't get added because the roll says there that it's only looking for. Oh, don't lock the card. It's only looking for the knockback condition. Okay, so we're going to be casting Unearth. Unearth is going to deal 16 damage, and it's going to target the player with the highest strength, which was the Musketeer. So 16 damage. We've got a defense of 5. 16 from 5. That takes us down 11. 11 from 18 to 7 HP. Yep, so the Musketeer's looking like she could be dying quite soon. As Muckling casts this, the Shaman is going to assist by casting a Vecture. Now, a Vecture is going to be doing the same that it's done before. It's going to be healing them both for 1 HP. And it's also going to be targeting. It was 9 damage, wasn't it? 9 from 5. I'm taking 4 every time. So I'll be going to 18 HP. Okay, that concludes Muckling's turn. So we'll go back to the turn order, flip him over. Then we're going to the Witch Doctor. So on my turn, token upkeep, I remove that can't be healed condition, which is quite helpful. That's the only token I got. Then my dice upkeep, my 2 goes to 1, my 4 goes to 3. Then I go into my hero upkeep. Now I can heal myself finally because that condition has been removed. So I'm going to choose to heal myself for 2 HP, taking me up to 20. And I can't quite heal the Musketeer yet because she still has that can't be healed condition on there. I move into my main phase where I'm going to cast one of my spells. I hope you guys picked up on my misplay. What I forgot was I have this ability here. What have I got? Curse Study. My curses deal an additional 1 damage. So when I was adding up my damage earlier, oh, what have I got? I want the hand. I should have been dealing. I forgot to add an additional 1 damage to the Curse of Darkness. Sorry, not Acid Cloud, just Curse of Darkness. It's too late to backtrack that, so let's continue on. Have I got enough in the tank to kill the Shaman? The Shaman's at 5 HP with a defense of 6. That means if I hit for 11, I can KO the Shaman. Oh, maybe 1 less, because when it goes to the Shaman's turn, the poison will deduct 1. So it's 4. 4 plus 6, 10. If I can hit for 10, it can die. Let's have a quick look. What have we got here then? Poison Curse. Yeah, that'll do it. Let's cast Poison Curse then. So it's cooldown of 2. It's 3 damage plus my intellect. My intellect is 6. 6 plus 3 is 9. But because it's a curse, it deals the extra 1 from our curse study here. So I'm going to attack for 10 damage. 10 from 6 is 4, taking the Shaman to 1. But it does it reapplies poison. So the poison would get reset back up to 3 turns and would immediately suffer 1 damage. And that would kill the Shaman. I locked the card. There we go. So we can flip the Shaman over. They have been defeated. And we can remove them from the turn order card. Witch Doctors finished their turn, and that's the end of round 3. Now moving into round 4. Turn order stays the same, and so the cooldown dice disappears. So we can now heal the Musketeer. Reload comes back. Those would technically get moved, but I'm going to cast Reload again. So we may as well leave them there. And now we're going to be attacking. It was 9, wasn't it, last time? So it's 9 damage. We're going to be attacking Muckling over here. 9 from 7 is 2. 2, knocking him down to 14. Okay, that concludes the Musketeer's turn. Over to Muckling. Muckling will be losing 1 from poison. The cooldown dice is going to drop, taking him down to 13. Sorry, I forgot to place the cooldown dice again, didn't I, after casting that spell. So that would reduce to 1. And now the only spell we have that we can cast is Shockwave. Shockwave is a strength of 8 and 4, so it's a total of 12, and it's going to hit both. 12 from 5, I'm going to be taking 7, taking me down to 13. I don't think we're going to have, if we had 1 more turn, we'd be able to heal the Musketeer, but unfortunately, I think that's going to kill her. So it was 12 damage, wasn't it? 12 from 5 is 7. 7 will kill the Musketeer. So she has died. And that concludes the Wormling's turn. We'll take the Musketeer off the turn order track. And then we're over to myself, the Witch Doctor. So tokens, I have no tokens to shift along. We then go into dice. This comes back, this goes to a 2, and this goes to a 1. I have my hero upkeep. I'll choose to heal myself for 2 with the healing wave ability. So I'll go to 15. This is looking tough. He's at 13 with 7. He's darn elites. He's going to be casting. Oh, sorry, I forgot to apply the. They can't be healed actually there. So let me go back down to 13. And then in my token upkeep, that would have moved down to 1. So I'm at 13 and I can't heal. Let's hit hard then. I'm going to cast Toxic Strength. Now, this says that my next attack will deal 50% more damage if my target has poison. I may now cast an attack spell. Now, I'm pretty sure Muckling still has a poison for 1 more turn. So we're going to get 50% additional damage. Yeah, let's go for our big cooldown. Let's go for Undying Force. So it's got a cooldown of 5. Oh, I'm going to place a dice there of 5. So we're going to resolve the first half of the spell first. So I'm going to target one enemy, that's going to be Muckling, and I'm going to give him -2 defense for 3 turns. I haven't got any -2s out the bag yet, so let's grab a -2. There we go. I hope none of you guys have got OCD. My board's looking a little bit messy. But so we've got -2, and that was on defense, taking him down to 5. Okay, then the second half of the spell is going to deal 3 damage plus my intellect. My intellect is 3. Sorry, my intellect is 6. So 6 plus 3 is 9. Now we add the 50% after Muckling has defended. So it's not 9 plus 50%, add in another 4.5. So it's going to be 9 damage. Muckling can defend against that first. So 9 from 5 is 4, and then it's going to be 50% of the 4. So it's going to be an extra 2. Okay, if it was a 0.5, it's always rounded up. So it's going to be 6 damage after defense, taking Muckling down to 7 health points. Yeah, and then that concludes, should I say, the end of my Witch Doctor's turn. Okay, so then we start rounds at round 5 or 6, one of those. Okay, the cooldown dice disappears from the poison condition, and on the very last turn, it doesn't deal any damage. Unearth, cooldown dice will be coming back. Muckling doesn't have -1 agility anymore because he's no longer poisoned. Sorry, I forgot to put a dice on the -2. That was how many turns? That was for 3 turns. So it would have been on 3 turns, and now on my turn it would come down to 2 turns. It's nice and easy to follow the patterns if you make any misplays. Like I've made several here already. So I can just look back at the spell, and we can, because it's all predetermined, we can sort of just work it all out. So we know that the Muckling has a defense of 5 for 2 more turns. Muckling's now going to cast Unearth, and it's going to deal 16 damage, and there's only 1 target now. So this time I'm not going to forget to place... Oh, table TTS, here we go. It froze for a moment. So I'm not going to forget to place my dice. It's going to deal 16 damage. I roll to see if I add knockback to the spell. And it doesn't, thankfully. So it's going to be 16 damage. 16 from 5 is 11, taking me down to 2 HP. It's not looking good. It's not looking good. Oh, thankfully Muckling didn't get the knockback. Otherwise, that would have potentially killed us. Okay, so that concludes his turn, and now it's over to us. Our token upkeep. This can't be healed condition gets removed now. Then we go to the dice upkeep. Poison Curse comes back. Acid Cloud goes to 1, and Dying Force goes to 4, and Toxic Strength goes to 2. Then we go to the hero upkeep. I'm going to heal myself for 2, taking me up to 4. Can we kill him or not? He's got 7 HP, so I need to hit him for 12 to kill him. 12. Poison Curse would deal 3 plus 6, that'd be 9. Oh, plus the extra 1, 10. So it's going to be 5 plus the poison, that'd be 6. And then when it goes to his turn, it'll be an extra 1, 7. I think we can kill him. I'm going for it, and I hope my math was correct. We'll soon find out. So I'm going to cast Poison Curse again. So it's going to deal 3 plus the extra 1 from our curse study over here. So it's 4 plus my intellect. So it's going to 10 damage. 10 damage from a defense of 5 would be 5. So taking Muckling down to 2. Muckling would then be poisoned. The poison would be lasting for 3 turns. So immediately when we place the poison, Muckling's going to take 1. Oh, sorry. Taking him down to 1. Then I'm going to pass the turn. Then we're on to round 6 or 7. Muckling goes to take his turn. At the beginning of his turn, he has his token upkeep. So his tokens, but he has no tokens. Well, he does, but the tokens are kind of added into the dice upkeep because we don't have this section here to move the tokens. So how we track them on the cards is with the d6. So his -2 defense would go for one more turn, and then he would suffer one more damage from poison, taking him to 0, and that would also kill Muckling, making us very, very successful, very lucky. And that means that we have won that battle. I got caught up in the action of chatting to you guys, so I missed a couple of things. As we summon those 2 monsters, what I should have done is taken 2 loot items from this deck and put them underneath the treasure chest token to show the show Muckling's enemies what was at stake should they win the battle. Now, it was 2 loot items because it's always 1 loot item unless we have an elite. Because we had an elite monster, the loot goes from 1 item to 2 items. So we will receive 2 items from the loot item deck for defeating these monsters. We then will also pop these monsters back into the deck, give it a shuffle. So there's also a chance of fighting those again. So let's see what loot items we can open in the chest. We've got 2 items here. Let's bring them over to our equipment board. We have a crooked bow. Now that can only be equipped by a heavy armored hero. Unfortunately, our main hero here, the Witch Doctor, is a light armored hero. So we can't equip the bow, which means that's going to be going into our backpack. And we have a flask of rum. Now we can equip that. It is a rare loot item, so it's quite good in the mid-range. Equipped hero may drink from the flask of rum during their turn. They'll gain 2 HP and a 1 HP shield, and that's got a cooldown of 4, which means it has an activated ability, which is what that little green, this little green icon here shows us. It's an activated ability, so we can activate that on our turn. So let's unlock that. We're going to pop that on our trinket slot. And how do I know it's a trinket? Now, obviously, I know it's not a weapon. I know it's not a chest. I know it's not a head, just from the terminology. But maybe for sort of like our not so strong English language speakers, we have these icons here, so that you can see this little trinket icon here, and that matches this icon here, meaning it would be equipped to our trinket icon slot. Okay. Let me just tidy up my board because it's looking a little bit messy. Let's put things back in the bag. So we've got our dice. Monster attributes dice can stay here. The boss dice can go back over there. Let's just pop these back in their piles. Poison. Can't be healed. And the turn order, let's put those back in the bag. That can stay there, that can stay there, because those are the heroes. And Muckling can go back in the bag. That's cleaned us up a little bit. Okay, I'm going to pop that underneath my backpack token. And the way the backpack works is every 2 loot items will give us -1 agility, because thematically these loot items are going to be weighing us down, and the maximum capacity is 8. So we've got 7 more to go. And should we bump into the Wandering Merchant, we'll be able to trade items with him for whatever is in his shop a little bit earlier. Okay, so just before I move on, I made another small error earlier. I don't play a huge amount of solo, so bear with. As I summon those enemy monsters, what we were supposed to do was we're supposed to roll the monster attributes die. So let's give that a quick roll now, and then I'll explain what this does. So it's landed on the defensive icon. So that means I'm going to take one of these defensive cards here, just one, and I'm going to shuffle it into the passive deck. Let's give that deck a little shuffle. And when we fight enemy bosses, they're going to be automated with the monster deck instead of the targeting system that we had a little bit earlier. Because the trash mobs only have 2 spells. Now bosses obviously have they've got quite a lot of abilities we'll go into a little bit later, and then they obviously have their 10 spells here. So that's how the AI will control what they're going to be casting through this 50 card deck, which is only available in the true solo mode add-on. Okay. Boards reset after combat. So all these dice are going to come back here. I'm going to go back to my full 44 HP. Because the Witch Doctor survived, Musketeer rejoins us, because the Musketeer effectively gets revived at the end of combat, and then the Musketeer is refreshed and she's back to 38 HP. Okay, we've got our loot item and we're good to go. So that resolves the first exploration card, the trash mobs, which now allows us to continue moving onwards. Now, because I've set this up, we only have one path to follow. We have to follow the number 2. However, if we're playing the full version of the game, we would be able to go in different directions here. So what we're going to do is explore this hex. I'm going to travel across this nice little footbridge, and then we have to now resolve another exploration card. Let's take one of these from the deck, and we have an action card. So let's give our action card deck a little shuffle, and let's take an action card out. Now what I've quickly done is grab this card here. You'll see why in a moment. When we're playing solo, what I'd recommend is if this was the card, that we'd place our hand over the top of this, so we can't see the bottom the bottom outcomes of our options. So the action cards are like a build your own adventure book, but just in card format. So what I'm going to do now is flip my card over, and I can see that the green, I'm just trying to stay zoomed out. So the green are the options, and underneath are the outcomes. So I'm just going to hide. There we go, perfect. First go. Okay, so we have a card here called Base Camp, and let's read it. So sleep is vital for a successful excursion, and everybody in the party is feeling tired. Would this be an appropriate location to camp for the night? Option 1, this location appears ideal. Stay the night here and regroup in the morning. Or you're apprehensive about resting here despite feeling tired. You should search for a safer location further ahead. Let's have a little look where we are. This looks like a nice location. Permitted that battle did last. Well, that was a good 20 to 30 minutes. So aren't we tired? Potentially. Let's go back to our options. This location appears ideal. Stay the night here and regroup in the morning. We're apprehensive about resting here despite feeling tired. Let us know in the comments what you guys would pick, and we can find out what both outcomes are and see if your outcome is better than mine. I think this location is ideal. Let's stay the night here. You know, it looks quite majestic. We've got the river and a lovely bit of wild camping there. If I were out in the sticks here, I would definitely be staying the night there. Looks great. So that was option 1. Let's see what outcome 1 was. Outcome 1. You recover well and feel great in the morning after a hearty breakfast. Your belly is full and your strength is renewed after a good night's rest. All allies receive a 2 HP shield. Oh, fantastic. So we're going to take a dice. I'm going to place it on this little shield token here for a value of 2. And what the shield does is it's like a little nifty way of us extending our HP pool. Now, at the beginning of the game, well, sorry, I keep snapping the camera somehow. It's one of those buttons on my mouse. We can't gain HP above our max HP stat until we lose HP, then we can regain it. But a shield has no maximum value. So it's kind of like our HP is at 46 right now. We must deduct our shield before any HP. Pop a value of 2 there for the Musketeer shield, and that was 2 there from our action card. If any of our viewers watching on YouTube would have gone for being apprehensive, not resting here, let's see what your outcome would have been. Further down the road, a more secure spot is found amidst the trees. Before sleeping, you set traps for added safety. Upon awakening, it's evident that your precautionary measures was a wise choice. Your precautionary measure, should I say, was a wise choice, as several nocturnal monsters have fallen into the traps. All allies gain a 2 HP shield, and then you get to remove card numbers 10 and 11 from the exploration deck. Now, this is the exploration deck. So what you'd be able to do is go in here, and earlier when we found this summon 2 trash mobs, we get to remove card numbers 10 and 11. So it kind of removes monsters out of this deck. So yeah, both of those options would have been pretty good. Okay. Now I locked the card earlier. So yeah, let's flip that card. Oh, I've locked it. It can be in our discard pile. I'll pop that back over there. Okay, so now we've resolved the action card, which now allows us to continue exploring. Where do we want to go? Do we want to go through the forest or through the path? I think we're feeling energetic after that good night's sleep, so let's nip through the forest here over to Hex 5. We're going through here. Yeah, it's looking good. I mean, could go up this little hill. And now that means we have to resolve another exploration card. So let's take a card, let's flip it over, and we have yet another action card. So let's take another action card. Let's flip that one over. Let's grab our little cover. Again, we'd be using our hands if we were playing at the table with the game. This one's Insatiable Hunger. You need to stop for a break, and a little something to eat is now an appropriate time. That's quite similar to our previous card, actually, the rest. Option 1, you're already hungry before you started this adventure. That sounds like me. Take a break, start a small fire, and prepare a warm soup to lift your spirits. Or option 2, continue on your journey without food. I think, seeing as we just rested up and had a nice hearty breakfast, that we're going to go for option 2. We're going to continue without food. Let's have a look what our outcome would have been. As you roam the forests and mountains of the Shire's most majestic region, it slowly dawns on you that today is the anniversary of your parents' death. You pause for a moment and take in a large breath of air, filling your lungs, reminding yourself of your loved ones. One ally levels up. Fantastic, that's what I like to say. Leveling up. So our level in here, we're going to go from level 1 to level 2. Now remember earlier, we only get the extra +1 modifiers when we go on odd levels, so they're highlighted with this little gold here, so we don't get an extra +1. But what we do for every level is we get a power cube, and this allows us to unlock a new spell or ability. For any new viewers that don't know how our game works, I can start following another path. I can start following the venomous path here, or the voodoo healing path here. But these paths are progressive. So for me to unlock, let's say, healing voodoo, I would have to have these 4 unlocked before it, because a general rule of thumb is the stronger abilities and spells are down the bottom here. So I think we're going to unlock ourselves. You receive poison, take a bonus turn after this one. Yeah, let's unlock a new spell here, Impending Death, which grants one enemy burn, bleed, poison, and wounded for 3 turns, and it also deals damage with an attack modifier, so that's quite nice. It's another spell to play with. Okay. Now let's flip that down, pop that in our discard pile. Again, so now we're able to continue exploring. Now we've resolved our exploration card. I mean, seeing as we've been veering off to the left, let's continue. So we're going to come up this mountain or up this little hill, and we're going to come down on this side. We're going to take a card from the exploration deck. Oh, we've got another action card. They like us today. Let's see what we're up to. Oh, this one's a little bit different. Let's pop our hands over here. So the Traveller's Arms. Amongst the trees you come across an old weathered inn. Do you decide to pay a visit? Well, let's see if they're serving beer. Option one, a quick stop will be much. A quick stop will provide a much needed rest for both your weary spirit and tired legs. Since you an option two, sorry, since you've not exerted yourself, there's no need to linger at the inn. Keep pushing forward. Again, let us know in the comments what would you guys go for. I'll reveal all the outcomes. Um, I mean, it's an inn. I mean, it'd be rude to not visit. So I'm going to stop at the inn. Okay. So option one, I'm looking for outcome one. Outcome one. Outcome one says, upon entering the inn, your arrival creates a tense silence. How do you proceed? Now from here we have some sub options. So we've got option 1.1 and now option 1.2 to continue sort of build your own adventure. We can, as we enter the inn, then that creates a tense silence. What do? Do we keep our head down and make our way to the innkeeper at the bar, or do we confidently greet the innkeeper like an old friend you haven't seen in years? Are we shy, or are we confident? Let's have a little look. Which doctor? He's definitely not shy, is he? And the musketeer. Look at that rifle. These guys aren't shy. Let's confidently greet the innkeeper like an old friend you haven't seen in years. So option 1.2, we're now looking for outcome 1.2. And it says the innkeeper recognizes you from the arena, and it turns out he's a huge fan. He's a top guy. One ally receives +2 strength and intellect for 2 turns. Okay. +2 strength and intellect. It has to be to the same ally, unfortunately. And I say unfortunately because if we have a look at most of our attack modifiers here, they're all intellect. And then, as you noticed earlier, the attack modifier for the musketeer was strength. So it'd be nice to give her strength and him intellect. But seeing as this is our main hero, we're going to give it to the musketeer. Where's the other one? I left it behind. So the card states that we get +2 strength and intellect for 2 turns. So we place the +2 on our strength and our intellect. Okay, and they go on the middle column because this is the 2 turns with the little marker here. Okay, so if it's 3 turns at this column, 2 turns, 1 turn. Okay. And then let's see what if you guys would have kept your head down at the inn, option 1.1, we'd have an outcome 1.1. After exchanging words with the innkeeper, you sense you are unwelcome, so you politely depart. All allies receive confused for 3 turns. And then if we would have not visited the inn, we'd have gone for option 2. That would have gone straight to outcome 2. On the road ahead, you come across a woman who appears injured. You bring her to the inn to recuperate for the night. The next morning, you find her waiting, and she expresses her gratitude by offering to repay the debt she owes. Add 1 ally musketeer ally card to your ability tab. Funnily enough, we already have the musketeer on our journey with us that I chose whilst I was in the Shire. So that would have normally been a fantastic outcome because we would have added another ally card to our ability tab over here. But in this specific scenario, in this specific case, because we already have the musketeer, that would have failed to resolve anyway. Okay. Now, I know some of you guys are thinking, well, hang on a minute, Damian, you designed this game. You probably know all these outcomes, but these were wrote a long time ago and they've been edited by myself and different people. And we've got 50, is it? No, we've got no, there's 60 cards. No, there's 64 cards, sorry. There's 16 for each scenario. And then because we're playing solo mode, we have an extra 20. So this deck has a total of 21 cards with all the possible options. I can't remember them all. Okay, so that goes into the discard pile. And that allows us to continue moving forward. So from here, we're going to move on to Hex 6. Oh, we're getting into some sort of swamplands, I think. Not there. Yep. We're going to take another card. Let's give it a shuffle. What do we got? Keep exploring. There's nothing to see here. Well, the exact words are nothing to see here. Continue onwards. So that's resolved all immediately. Okay, so now we're going to move on. Let's go back up this hill here. Let's flip over to number 6. Oh, there's a nice little. Oh, that might be the inn we've just visited. That's quite fitting, the artwork. It's a little. What's this? Some rocks, a few little houses. Could be a little market. So we're going to take another exploration card and resolve that. Keep exploring. What's going on? We're getting all the same things in the row. Keep exploring. Nothing to see here. Well, that's lies. There's a lovely little town or village we want to stop. Let's flip over another one. Here's a nice stone circle. We're going to move forward into that stone circle. We've got to take another exploration card. We flip that over, and we have an action card. So we've got to take an action card and resolve that from the deck. You guys know the drill now. The unhinged old man, a man of short stature wearing a hood and carrying a staff that resembles a bird's beak, comes to you from the forest. He avoids eye contact, and it's difficult to see his face as he keeps looking away from you. His speech seems disjointed, but you understand what he is searching. But you understand that he is searching for his apprentice. Would you be willing to offer help? Option 1: agree to accompany the old man in the woods and assist him to finding his apprentice. Or option 2: you offer to assist the hooded man with finding his apprentice by guiding him to a nearby community. So do we want to follow him into the woods to find his apprentice, or guide him to a nearby community? I think we're going to go into the forest. We've already been into the forest earlier as we popped over here, so why not? Let's option 1 we're going to go for. So we're only going to reveal outcome 1. Outcome 1, yep. And it says the situation takes a turn for the worst as the old man starts to recite some old phrases. It appears that the old man has mistaken you for his apprentice. Fortunately, his real apprentice arrives soon after and explains that he's been trying to escape the eccentric old man for days. He pleads with you to let him join you on your journey. Add the Witch Doctor ally card to a hero's ability tab. Well, that seems pretty good. Let's take this. Funnily enough, we're using the Witch Doctor ally card here. So now we have just found a Witch Doctor in the forest with us, and he's going to be joining us on our adventure. So we're also going to add the Witch Doctor card to our ability tab. We need to grab. Oh, what am I doing? No, that was 38. We need to stick some HP here. Witch Doctor's got 37. And now we've got another Witch Doctor with us in the party. I'll get there one day. 37. There we go. Oh, what's going on with these dice? Stop moving. 37. Okay, fantastic. So we've resolved that card, which allows us to move on to one more hex. We're going to move on to this hex here. And again, we have to take an exploration card. We flip that over, and that says now we have to summon 3 trash mobs to battle. So we bumped into some more monsters in this neck of the woods. And let's see what we got. Let's give this deck a shuffle. We've got to summon 3 monsters. 1, 2, 3. What have we got? Got a fighter snail, another shaman, and another shaman. Oh, we've got Gerson. Now Gerson is an elite. So we remember that by they have names, the elites, and they also have the gold frame. So this is going to be a really tricky battle. Let's see what abilities they have. Tranquility can assist by casting a Vecture, and a Vecture is an AoE with this one, and a Vecture is a single target here. And again, it's Tranquility. So when they attack, they're going to assist. There's lots of assists happening. And we've got the fighter snail. Okay. Let's grab some HP die. Let's pop them over here for you, and for you, and for you. We've got 20, so let's adjust the die. We've got 20. They're all at 20, that's nice and easy. Okay, so I've got 2 goblins and I have a fighter snail. So let's get some turn orders. Goblin, fighter snail. They're going to be coming to the turn order track. Oops. Oh, what have I? Oh no, what have I done? Not much. I've just put the tokens back in the bag. That's me being an amateur on a tabletop simulator, not quite understanding what all these commands are. So I need another one of those, copy and paste, and then I need another witch doctor, copy and paste. Okay, let's have a look at the turn order then. So we've got 6, 4, and 6. I've got 5 still. We've got 7 and 5. So we know the musketeer's first because she has 7. Now, was there a couple of what we got here? We got a 5. Oh, the same. Yeah, 2 5s, and we've got 2 6s. So let's have the snail go first, and then we'll have the shaman. So we've got a snail. Oh, I duplicated the wrong one earlier, didn't I? What have I done? Let's get one out of the bag. One of you. One of these. And then we've got 4, so he's going to be going last, and then we've got the 2 witch doctors. Okay, so that's the turn order for this. Now, what I always recommend is that we rearrange these cards in turn order. It just makes life a little bit easier, so we know that it goes from left to right. So we're just going to swap this one with this one here. So we know the turn order is going to go snail, shaman, goblin, just to make our life, like I said, a little bit easier instead of going back and forth, especially when you can summon sort of 4 or 5 monsters. I mean, you can't summon 4 or 5, I don't think, in the solo mode, but if you're playing the co-op or you're playing 1 versus many, you can summon up to sort of 5 monsters, and then go in number 1 attacks first, and then number 5 and 3 and 2. So in the rule book, we recommend rearranging it. And sorry, I didn't point out earlier, but for those of you that have not read the rules yet, we've got the rule book here, so you can flick through that to find any bits and pieces that I might not have covered in this video. And then we also have as well the solo mode modifications here, in how sort of like they target monsters, enemy monster targeting here, talking about the trash mobs. You can see here what I was explaining a little bit earlier. Okay. We're almost ready to begin this battle, but remember, because we've summoned the monsters, we also have to roll the monster attributes die to see what cards we shuffle into this passive deck. And we'll be using that passive deck when we fight this monster very soon, by the looks of it. We're almost there, we're almost at the first boss. Okay, so let's roll this dice. What have we got? We've got an aggressive card this time. So we're going to take an aggressive card, shuffle that into the passive deck, give it a shuffle. Okay. And yeah, we're good to begin. Let's start us off with the musketeer then. Musketeer. She's going to reload. Cooldown value of 3. She gets +2 and -1. They're already here, funnily enough. +2 strength, -1 defense. And she's going to cast range shot, which I remember is 2 plus her strength at 7, so that's 9. We're going to target. Let's target one of these non-elites. Defense of 5 and 6. Let's take. Let's go for the snail. So it's 9 damage from 5. So taking 4, taking the snail, the fighter snail, down to 16. And that will be the turn, so there's no cooldown dice on Musketeer. Musketeer passes the turn, we're over to the fighter snail. Fighter snail. Oh, let's grab a few D6s from the bag. And I'm just going to quickly pause my video here, ready for part 4.